Waitress reveals shocking connection. That's my dad's signature. CEO's incredible response evokes tears. In the heart of a small Midwestern town, Rosie's diner bustled with life. The smell of sizzling bacon and freshly brewed coffee filled the air, and laughter echoed off the vinyl booths. Lily, a cheerful waitress in her late 20s, moved through the crowd with a bright smile and a sparkle in her eyes. But beneath the surface of her bubbly exterior lay the weight of a broken heart and the fierce love she had for her young daughter, Mia. Every day felt like a battle as mounting bills loomed over her, each reminder of her late father, a war hero who taught her the values of hard work and honesty, echoing in her mind. One ordinary afternoon, as sunlight poured in through the diner's windows, catching the dust in a golden haze, Lily cleared a table, her worn apron brushing against the chipped formica. When she wiped the surface, her fingers brushed against an unexpected object. A card slipped out and fluttered to the ground. She picked it up, staring in disbelief. The name on the card sent a shiver down her spine. Evan Harper, CEO of a massive corporation. What shocked her even more was the signature on it. It looked hauntingly similar to her father's handwriting. Her heart raced. Could this be the connection she had been waiting for? Summoning every ounce of courage, she approached Evan, who was deep in conversation at a booth, oblivious to the world around him. As she drew closer, her palms grew sweaty. This could be it. "Excuse me, Mr. Harper," she began, her voice steady yet laced with urgency. "What do you want?" he replied, glancing up, his tone icy and indifferent. "My father," she took a breath. "He was a soldier. He fought for our country and taught me the importance of family and hard work. When I saw your card, I had to tell you that it resembled his signature. He worked so hard to give my daughter and me a better life." For a moment, a heavy silence enveloped the diner, the clattering of plates quieting, all eyes turning to the unexpected confrontation. As she spoke of her father's sacrifice, tales of perseverance filled the air, tapping into hearts long burdened by struggle. A few patrons nodded, their faces etched with empathy and understanding. Evan's expression began to soften, realization dawning on him. The community around them drew closer, as if the weight of shared struggles knitted them together in a way that transcended mere words. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As she painted her story with hope and determination, the diner began to buzz with renewed energy. Friends and neighbors joined in, sharing their own tales of hardship and resilience, forming a tapestry of dreams and fears that echoed through the room. Evan sat there, wrestling with the reality of his own privilege, understanding that perhaps, just perhaps, his past could guide him toward a new direction. But just as hope began to stir, a shocking revelation threatened to break the fragile web of connection forming within the diner. As Lily's heart raced on this fragile cusp, the truth lay unraveling before them, a secret that had the power to either bind them closer or tear them apart altogether. Would they have the courage to confront their pasts, or would fear drive a wedge between them? In that moment, the stakes were higher than ever, both for Lily and Evan, leaving the diners and the audience breathless for what would come next. Lily felt a tremor of panic roll through her as she caught Evan's eyes. They were a stormy gray, and for a second, she could see the flicker of recognition. Perhaps it was the weight of guilt, or the echo of memories he had buried deep. The crowd hushed, anticipation thickening the air. She could almost hear the collective breath being held. Would he acknowledge her father's legacy, or would he retreat back into his armored cocoon? "Mr. Harper," she pressed on, her voice unwavering despite the knot tightening in her stomach. "I need you to understand. My father believed in fighting not just in war, but for the people he loved. I've watched my whole life as he worked himself to the bone for our family. That's what got me here, working every shift, trying to make ends meet." The weight of her words hung in the air like dust motes dancing in sunlight. She craved some sign from Evan, a glimmer of empathy, a willingness to connect. For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, Hope pricked at her heart. But before she could dream of where this might lead, the diner's door swung open with a jangle. Breaking the spell. It was Derek, the local mechanic, a wiry guy known for his quick jokes and easy smile. "What is going on?" he asked, just as he slid into a booth, one eye on Evan, the other on Lily. "You look like you're about to unearth a family treasure or something." Lily glanced around, unsure whether she wanted to share this intimate moment of vulnerability with the whole diner. But the way Evan's lips pressed into a thin line convinced her to push forward. "I was just telling Mr. Harper here about my father, and how I believe there's a connection between him and the business," she said, her voice trembling slightly. Derek leaned forward, intrigued. "Your dad? Wait, you mean the soldier? I heard stories about him long ago. He was a hero." A murmur of agreement rippled through the diner. "Yeah, he was." Evan nodded slowly, as if his mind worked to piece things together. People began to share little anecdotes about Lily's father, each one weaving a thread of reverence and tenderness through the fabric of their community. But just as she began to feel a warm connection forming, Evan's face darkened. "Lily, it's a lot to take in. I'm not asking you to change your life," she interrupted, desperation creeping into her tone. "All I want is to honor my father's memory and provide for Mia, my daughter. If there's any chance you could help, even just a little." Suddenly, the room shifted. Lily glanced at Mia, who had just entered the diner, her innocent smile lighting up the space. The little girl's eyes sparkled with hope, and it ignited something deep within Lily. She felt the urge to fight for them both, for their future. Evan stirred, looking at her with new clarity. I'll think about it," he said finally, the gears turning in his mind. But before the relief could wash over her, a loud crash echoed through the diner. A plate shattered on the floor, the sound jarring everyone back to reality. Composure unraveled as shocked gasps erupted around them. Lily's heart sank. She turned to see a familiar face, Mia, standing wide-eyed, her small fingers clutching an empty glass that had slipped from her grasp. In that split second, the moment of connection turned onto a precarious edge, the uncertainty pulsing in the room. What hidden truth had just been unearthed that could shift everything between them? As Lily bent down to comfort her daughter, she couldn't shake the feeling that the present was perilously close to intertwining with the past in a way she had never anticipated. What did Evan really know about her father? And could the truth save them both? The air was thick with questions too overwhelming to ignore, leaving Lily breathless and longing for answers. Would she find the courage to step into the unknown together with Evan? Lily knelt beside Mia, her heart racing. She smoothed the girl's hair and whispered calming words, though her mind was swirling. The chaos from the broken glass reverberated through her. This was not how she envisioned today turning out. As she glanced back at Evan, she caught a hint of something unsettling in his expression. His eyes flitted back to Mia, then to her. "Is she all right?" he asked, concern etched across his face as he pushed aside the weight of their previous conversation. "She's just shaken," Lily managed, forcing a smile for Mia's sake. "It happens sometimes. Just a little spill, right, sweetie?" Mia nodded, still looking nervous, and that small motion cracked Lily's heart open a little more. She wanted to shield her daughter from anything that could hurt her, but the truth lingered like a specter between them, almost palpable. Derek, meanwhile, had jumped up to grab a towel from the counter, trying to help while the diner patrons returned to their booths, gossiping, partly amused, partly concerned. "Looks like Mia's made a dramatic entrance," he joked, trying to lift the mood. But Lily felt the moment slipping away. She stood up, still clutching Mia's hand, and faced Evan. "I really need you to understand why this means so much to me," she said earnestly. "My father's memory isn't just a story to tell. It's my reason to keep going, to fight like he did." Evan paused, his gaze steady on hers. "I get that. I do. But," he sighed, running a hand through his hair, visibly wrestling with the weight of her plea, "this business is all I have left after." His voice faltered, and Lily could see that pain was etched deep beneath his surface. Maybe it was more than she had glimpsed before. "After what?" she pressed gently. "What happened?" His gaze drifted momentarily, almost as if he were lost in memories that were too deep to share. "It's complicated." The words spilled out like a confession, heavy and full of unspoken grief. Mia, ever perceptive, tugged on Lily's sleeve. "Mommy, I want a milkshake," She piped up, her eyes sparkling again at the delicious thought. Lily crouched down. I'll get you one right now. Make it a chocolate. Mia exclaimed, the innocence of childhood breaking through the tension. Evan's gaze shifted to Mia, a flicker of warmth evident now. Chocolate's the best choice, he said, a hint of a smile breaking through his serious demeanor. Lily stood, glancing back at the counter. I'll be right back, she said softly to Evan, before leading Mia to the register. As she placed the order, her heart ached with unformed thoughts. Seeing Evan interact with Mia stirred something in her. A sense of possibility began to bloom. Would he be willing to share more about her father? What if, beneath the icy surface, there was a man who understood the weight she carried? Just then, a low murmur swept through the diner. Lily turned to see Evan standing, looking out the window at the street. His expression went icy once more. The once vibrant color in his eyes dimmed. It's him, he muttered under his breath. Who? Lily's heart quickened. But in that moment, the door swung open, allowing in a gust of wind, and in stepped a figure that seemed to suck the warmth from the room. Confusion sparked in the air. Evan's face hardened, as a shadow from his past materialized right before them. What is happening? Lily felt the knot in her stomach twist tighter. Could whatever was out there disrupt everything they had just begun to build? And what secrets from the past were about to surface that could change everything for them all? The diner fell into an uneasy silence as the figure stepped inside. The door swung shut behind him, cutting off the gust of wind, but leaving a chill in the air. Lily's heart raced. She strained to catch a glimpse of the newcomer, but all she could see were the broad shoulders of a man who wore an air of confidence tinged with something darker. He scanned the room, his eyes finally landing on Evan, and she saw a flash of recognition, hostility buried under layers of regret. Evan clenched his jaw, then took a hesitant step forward. What do you want? His voice was low, almost a growl, but she could hear the tremor of something else beneath the surface. Evan, the man said, casual like they were old friends, but the tension in the air told a different story. I think we need to talk. A lot has happened since he trailed off, glancing at Mia, who was still innocently caught up in her milkshake fantasies. Not knowing who this man was or what he meant, panic bubbled up within Lily. She clasped Mia's hand tighter, trying to shield her from whatever storm was brewing. Maybe we should step outside, she suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. Evan shook his head, his expression hardening. No, this isn't just about you. He turned his full attention to the man, his stance shifting from uncertainty to defensiveness. Lily's eyes darted between the two. Everything felt like it was teetering on a cliff. A simple day at the diner had turned into something that resembled a confrontation, full of prickling emotions and unresolved history. Look, the man said, holding up his hands as if to calm the waves of anger building between them. I just want to talk. And I'm not here to create a scene. But there are things you need to know, things that concern your father. He paused, letting the weight of those words hang in the air like a cloud threatening rain. Lily felt her breath hitch in her throat. What do you mean? She asked, her heart pounding against her ribs. Her father's memory was everything to her, yet she felt as if it were being pried open by a stranger wearing the keys. You know your father left behind more than memories. There are things that could explain why I'm here and why you need to listen. Evan stepped forward, his face set. If you think you can manipulate her, don't you want answers? The truth? The man's gaze flickered between them, determination etched across his features. Lily could almost hear her heart thudding louder in her ears. A million questions surged through her, each twisting and coiling until they threatened to choke her. Truths she had clung to, secrets she had long buried. Yes, I do, she finally breathed, feeling a sense of urgency course through her veins. But who are you, and what do you know about my father? He hesitated, taking a deep breath before meeting her gaze. I'm someone who can tell you about your father's legacy. There's more to his story, and more to yours than you know. Before Lily could respond, Evan moved to stand beside her, an unyielding wall of protection. This isn't the way to do this. You're playing with fire, but the man's eyes glinted with a mix of defiance and something else, an invitation, a challenge. Sometimes, to uncover the truth, you have to be willing to get burned. A heaviness settled over them then, and Lily realized this was just the beginning. The roots of pain stretched long and wide, and the answers she sought might unravel everything she thought she knew. As Mia finished her milkshake, blissfully unaware, Lily felt herself pulled between fear and curiosity. What could this stranger reveal that might change her understanding of her father's life and her own? The diner had grown still, the air thick with unspoken secrets. And somewhere in the back of her mind, one question pulsed louder than the others. How deep did the truth run? Lily stood rooted in place, her mind racing. The diner felt smaller, the flickering fluorescent lights humming with tension. She could sense Mia's innocent curiosity, her small fingers still wrapped around the cooled milkshake glass. And she wished she could shield her daughter from whatever shadows lurked behind the man's words. Evan's body tensed beside her, like a coiled spring. "We don't need this," he said, his voice thick with apprehension. "Whatever you think you know, it's not worth stirring up old ghosts." Old ghosts. The man narrowed his eyes. "These ghosts are very much alive, and they haunt you both whether you want them to or not." Lily felt her throat tighten. "What do you mean?" The question slipped out before she could stop it, her instinct pushing her toward the unknown. "Your father made choices," he said, his tone a mixture of regret and urgency. Choices that affected not only him, but every person he left behind. And now, those choices have repercussions. Evan shifted, the tension almost palpable in the air. Answers don't come from a man who shows up out of nowhere. You don't get to rewrite history. "I'm not here to rewrite anything," the man snapped. "I'm here to give the truth the voice it deserves. You want to hear what I have to say, Lily? Trust me." The air crackled as the words settled. Lily could feel her heart pounding, each beat echoing questions of loyalty and yearning for truth. The urge to know felt like a knife digging into her gut. What lay beneath this man's bold claims? Trust? Evan scoffed. "You expect her to trust you? You're a stranger in a place where we barely know our own shadows." "Sometimes," the man said, lowering his voice slightly, "the people closest to you hide the deepest secrets. I'm here because your father had a legacy that shapes you in ways you can't imagine." "Why now?" Lily's voice trembled, betraying her calm. "Why come here like this?" "Because it's time," he said, eyes fixed on her with an intensity that sent chills down her spine. "It's time for you to choose what to do with the truth. Do you bury it like your father did? Or do you face it, no matter where it leads?" Lily felt the weight of the moment. Inside her mind, snippets of laughter, memories of a loving father now felt fractured, like a broken mirror reflecting distorted images. Did she even know the man she missed every day? Evan's hand brushed against hers, grounding her in the chaos. "What do you want from us?" he pressed, his protectiveness wrapping around her like a shield. "I want you to see the complete picture," he replied, unyieldingly. "And that includes understanding the choices he made, the ones that still shape your lives." Lily felt her breath catch again. "You say you know about my father, but who are you?" He took a step closer, lowering his voice. "I'm someone who can connect the dots. Someone who has the answers hidden in places you may not even know to look." In that moment, the diner felt smaller still, the world constricting around them. She could see Mia's gaze lifting, intrigued by the unfolding drama, her innocent eyes likely sensing an approaching storm. "What kind of answers?" she finally dared to ask, urgency mingling with fear. The man looked at her, something shadowy in his eyes. "The kind that can change everything. The kind that can help you understand who you really are." For the first time, doubt crept in. What if the truth was more painful than she was ready for? But frankly, she was tired of living in the half-light of shadows. The air shifted, and she sensed a pivotal moment looming just ahead, one that would lead her deeper into the complexity of her father's decisions. "Then maybe we should talk," she whispered, drawing in a shaky breath, aware that the path ahead was fraught with disruption. As their eyes locked in a delicate dance between confrontation and revelation, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was the kindling for some larger fire yet to come. What buried truths would be unearthed, and which would burn the brightest when fully revealed? Lily felt the world around her dim as the man's words lingered like an echo of thunder. The diner's usual buzz faded into silence, leaving just the rustle of her own thoughts. Each heartbeat echoed louder in her ears, urging her to face whatever truth lay ahead. Evan's steady grip on her hand was a tether to reality, steadying her as they navigated this unexpected storm. "We can't just trust him," Evan said, his voice low but firm. "What if he is lying? But what if he is not? Lily countered, her heart racing as she considered the possibility. What if everything I thought about my father is wrong? What if he hid parts of himself that we don't even know? I have to know. Evan's eyes softened, and he let out a short breath, wrestling with his own fears. It could tear you apart, Lily. Sometimes, knowing is just as painful as not knowing. But she felt fire in her veins as she looked into the man's steely gaze, a sense of urgency pushing her forward. You claim to know my father's truth, but why should I believe you? What proof do you have? The man took a step back, his expression shifting to one of measured patience. You speak of shadows, but shadows only show pieces of what is. Your father left behind things he thought would protect you. He pulled an envelope from his weathered jacket, placing it on the table. This was meant for you. He wanted you to have it when the time was right. Curiosity and fear collided inside her. What's in it? She breathed, inching closer, her heart hammering like a drum. Letters, photographs, every hidden piece of his life, things he thought you should never see, the man explained. He believed it was for your sake, to keep you away from a past that didn't belong to you. But maybe it's time to face who he really was. A lump formed in her throat. What if her father's past was darker than the warmth of her childhood memories? She glanced at Mia, oblivious and still sipping her milkshake, truth hidden in the innocence of childhood, a stark contrast to the turbulent ground she stood on. Evan leaned closer, eyeing the envelope warily. Lily, think about this. Are you really ready to open that? In that moment, an internal battle waged within her. Did she want the comfort of ignorance or the potential freedom that revelation could bring? The weight of the envelope felt heavy, as though containing a mountain's worth of secrets. Suddenly, a soft voice broke through the tension. Mommy, what is going on? Mia looked up, her big eyes flicking between Lily and Evan, confusion knitting her brow. Are we playing a game? Lily met Evan's gaze, which was a mixture of concern and frustration. It's not a game, sweetie, she replied softly, giving her daughter a reassuring smile even as uncertainty clouded her mind. Just something important. The man interrupted. It's not just about Lily. If you choose to open this, it will change everything for Mia too. Your father's choices ripple through your lives. You all deserve the truth. The air turned electric again as an invisible thread pulled at her. That feeling of urgency wrapped around her tighter than ever. What if everything, the laughter, the happy memories, the love, was sprinkled with shadow? Taking a deep breath, she reached for the envelope, the rough paper crinkling under her fingertips. I want to know. Evan's expression hardened. Lily, wait. But it was too late. Curiosity outweighed fear as she slowly slid her fingers under the flap. The rustle of paper filled the precarious silence as she tore it open. A chilling realization struck her. What if the darkest side of her father was about to pour into their lives like an unexpected flood? Heart thundering, she hesitated just for a second, the uncertainty paralyzing. Would she wish she had never looked? But she forced herself to breathe, preparing to confront whatever awaited inside. The moment stretched on, and her heartbeat quickened as she pulled out the contents, ready to dive into the storm brewing just on the other side of this thin layer of paper. What revelations would she find there? And how would it change everything? She thought she knew. As Lily peeled back the envelope flap, a shiver ran down her spine. The creases of the yellowed, fragile paper carried the scent of faded memories, mingled with an unsettling sense of dread. She pulled out a bundle of letters first, their edges frayed and ink smudged in places. Each one felt like a heartbeat, a pulse of her father's long-hidden past. Just read one, Evan urged quietly, leaning in slightly as if his presence could shield her from whatever turbulence awaited. Her fingers trembled slightly as she unfolded the first letter. The neat handwriting swirled across the page, a familiar script that felt like a warm embrace, yet simultaneously a cold reminder of things unsaid. The date at the top was nearly 20 years old. Dear Lily, it began, and her heart sank. If you're reading this, it means something significant has happened. Evan's breath caught. He began writing these to you, even before you were born? She couldn't focus on Evan's words. The letters revealed snippets of a man caught between love and regret. He wrestled with his choices, lamenting decisions made in shadowy corners of his life. I never wanted you to know this side of me, one line read. But you deserve to understand why I made the choices I did. Tears pricked her eyes. With every word, She could sense the love he felt wrapped around the pain, the burden he carried. But there were shadows lurking in the corners of his letters, mentions of people, places, and incidents wrapped in vague references that made her skin crawl. "What are you reading?" Mia asked innocently, breaking the heavy silence. She reached for the pile, her small fingers brushing softly against the letters, but Lily quickly pulled them back. "Not right now, sweetheart. Do you want me to read it for you?" Evan offered gently, but a part of Lily burned fiercely. This was her truth to uncover, not to pass on to someone else, even if it was to ease her own anxiety. "No, I have to do this," she whispered, her voice steadying. With each delicate letter, she could feel it tethering her to her father's fragmented soul, weaving a patchwork of the man she thought she knew. Suddenly, laying between the letters was a folded photograph. She pulled it out and gasped. It was dark and grainy, but unmistakable, a younger version of her father standing beside a woman. They were smiling, their faces bright with an unguarded joy. But in the background loomed a shadowy figure wearing a familiar smirk. "Is that?" Evan leaned in closer, studying the image. "Lily, is that your father's business partner?" The implications flooded her all at once. "But that's not possible," she said, shaking her head. "They were supposed to be best friends." "Yes," Evan attempted, his voice softening to a whisper. "But maybe that relationship was built on more than friendship." Everything suddenly felt surreal. Images of happy family gatherings, her dad's laughter echoing through their home, suddenly collided with a much darker narrative. Had her father been part of something she could never understand? Was that twisting smile of the man in the background a prelude to the shadows her father had fought to keep her away from? Lily collapsed back into her chair, overwhelmed. "What did you do, Dad?" The man who had handed her the envelopes stayed in the periphery, watching them with an intensity that felt both wise and haunting. "Lily," he finally spoke up, his voice steady. "This is just the beginning. You need to discover more than these letters. There's a deeper truth waiting for you." A flicker of anger ignited within her, merging with fear. "Why? Why would you help me uncover this?" "Because your father wanted you to see him fully. He thought it might save you from making the same mistakes." His cryptic nature only compounded her confusion. There were more lies than she initially thought, and it was entwined with the essence of who she was. I need more time," she managed, feeling the weight of the discoveries settle heavily on her shoulders. "Time might be what you don't have." The man's gaze drifted to the diner windows, where the storm clouds gathered outside. "Those shadows are gathering. You need to confront the truth before it catches up to you." A chill swept through her as the gravity of his words settled in. What else lay ahead? What lay beneath the surface of her family's history? With every heartbeat, she felt the urgency growing, a tugging at her heart that couldn't be ignored. Could she brave more revelations, or would they drown her in despair? As Evan squeezed her hand, she realized they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. Tomorrow, she decided, I'll confront whatever comes next. What truths awaited just around the corner? And would she be strong enough to face the echoes of her father's past? Lily woke to the dull sound of rain tapping against the window. The storm that loomed just outside felt like an omen, a backdrop to the turmoil churning in her heart. She glanced at the letters laid out on the table, each one a door to a past she barely understood. Today, she would step through those doors, one by one to as she dressed. The photograph floated through her mind. Her father's smile in that picture was so pure, so filled with joy, and yet the shadow behind him haunted her thoughts. Who was she really? What else didn't she know? Fears intertwined with determination as she walked toward the diner, the familiar hum of morning activity feeling oddly distant. Evan was already there when she arrived, sipping coffee, his expression a blend of encouragement and concern. "You ready?" he asked. "No," she replied honestly, feeling the weight of the letters tighten around her. Yet, ready or not, there was no turning back. As she slid into the booth, her mind recalled the words of the man who gave her the envelope. You need to confront the truth. With a deep breath, she resolved to brave the emotional storm that awaited. "Lily," Evan said, his voice lowering. "If you want, I can be right here while you call him. You don't have to do this alone." "No," she shook her head, feeling a surge of something fierce within. "This is my fight. I have to find out for myself." She pulled out her phone, hesitating. Her fingers hovered over her father's number. Memories flickered behind her closed eyelids. the warmth of Sunday dinners, the way he'd tuck her into bed with stories of strong heroes. Could she really bring those innocent days to the surface now that she was plunging into the depths of his secrets? With each ring, a knot grew tighter in her stomach. What would he say? Would he even answer? The call connected, and as she heard the click of the line, a mix of fear and necessity fueled her. Lily? His voice was familiar, yet distant. Dad, she said, her voice trembling. We need to talk. About what? There was a cautious tone as he sensed the gravity behind her words. About the letters. About everything. She wasn't sure where to begin, but the words tumbled out like raindrops splattering on pavement. I saw the photograph. I know there's more to your past than you've told me. Silence on the other end. She held her breath, praying he'd respond, praying they weren't trapped in a silence that could break everything they had. You should never have seen those, he finally said, a heaviness hanging between them. What do you mean? Why not? You wanted me to know. Each word felt like a step further into a chasm of hurt and confusion. I wanted you to know the truth, but not like this. Not through those letters. His voice cracked, revealing a vulnerability she hadn't known existed. The din around her blurred into a low hum, fading as she focused only on him. Then tell me, face to face. We can't keep hiding from the past. Lily, he paused, each second stretching agonizingly. You don't have to do this. I can protect you from the truth. It's too late for that, she said, her voice gaining strength. I need to know why you made the choices you did. What have you been hiding? What is so terrible that it could ruin everything? Heavy silence loomed again, and then she heard him take a deep breath. Very well, let us meet, he conceded, an edge of resignation in his tone. Just be prepared for what you'll uncover. I will. There was a determination in her chest now, igniting a fire she never expected to feel. When the call ended, the weight of his last words hung in the air. What would she uncover next? Would the revelations draw them closer or pull them apart forever? With Evan by her side, she let a new resolve settle into her. They were treading into unknown waters, and the depths were murky. But she was ready to dive, to unearth whatever lay beneath the waves of her father's past. Little did she know that those shadows weren't just remnants of old choices. They were alive, and they would fight back. Would she have the power to confront them? Little did she know a storm was brewing, not just outside, but also within the walls of her family's history. What awaited her in that meeting? Would she find answers, or would she open a Pandora's box of heartache? The rain now fell in sheets, blurring the view outside the diner. The world could have been washed away, leaving only Lily and her thoughts. She fidgeted with her phone, running her thumb over the screen as she processed the weight of what lay ahead. Evan noticed her unease. You okay? He leaned closer, his eyes filled with warmth and support. It was comforting, yet it felt insufficient against the looming dread of the meeting with her father. I don't know, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. What if I'm wrong? What if I uncover something I can't handle? He sighed, eyeing the rain-soaked streets as if searching for a strategy. No matter what happens, I'm here. You don't have to face it alone. She took a deep breath, clasping her hands together tightly to hide the tremor. Thanks, Evan. But this is something I need to do, even if it's terrifying. Time crawled as they sat in silence, contemplating their choices. Lily's mind drifted to the image of her father, the joy in his smile, clashing with the secrets he carried. She thought about the letters again. Each one had been a breadcrumb leading her to a truth buried deep beneath layers of love, anger, and regret. When a soft bell tinkled, signaling a new customer, her heart raced. She turned, half expecting to see her father walking through the door, but it was only a couple getting soaked by the rain. Relief washed over her for a second, only to be replaced by a fierce longing to face her father. Evan glanced at the clock. You should start heading over, he encouraged. With an unsteady resolve, she nodded and stood, heart pounding. Okay, here goes nothing, she said, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She felt a crack of anxiety bolt through her as she made her way to the door. Call me as soon as you can, Evan said, his voice solidifying the words into a promise. Definitely, she replied, stepping outside. The rain was heavier now, a curtain that draped down her shoulders like the weight of the past she was about to confront. Each step toward her father's house felt monumental, every drop a reminder of the road ahead, a road littered with questions and potential answers. She parked outside her father's home, the small, familiar frame standing stoically against the relentless weather. It felt unchanged, and yet it was transformed in her eyes. This was the place where memories mingled with shadows, a home enveloped by secrets she was determined to unveil. Lily took another deep breath, steadying her nerves. When she rang the doorbell, the sound echoed like a heartbeat. Moments later, the door creaked open, revealing her father. The weariness in his eyes mirrored her own, but behind it, she hoped, lay a flicker of acceptance. "Lily," he said, his voice low and hesitant, as if he was afraid she might vanish. "You came. I need to talk," she replied, stepping inside quickly, eager to get to the heart of their shared history. As the door closed behind her, the storm kept raging outside. But within, a different kind of storm brewed, one of emotions, memories, and the unspoken truths that had lingered too long in the shadows. This was it, settling into the living room. She felt the walls close in a space both cozy and suffocating. "Let us talk about the letters," she urged, refusing to let her father evade the topic any longer. He hesitated, eyes darting away. "I thought you would be better off not knowing better off. You don't get to decide what is better for me." Her voice rose slightly, the frustration from years of silence bubbling over. "I was better off with the truth." "Truth?" He stepped back, visibly shaken. "You think you're ready for that?" She squared her shoulders, no longer a little girl pretending to understand. "I have to be. I need to understand why you did what you did." As the tension mounted, she caught a glimpse of something flicker in his expression of fear, a weight. "You can't come back from some truths. Lily, try me," she shot back, resolve burning bright. But just as she braced for the unfolding of a painful narrative, her father took a deep breath, eyeing her with something she didn't expect: admiration? Sorrow? Then, the doorbell rang again, slicing through the charged air. "Who could that be?" he asked, startled. "I don't know," Lily replied, her heart racing again at the upheaval of the moment. "But please don't let it stop us." He paused, torn. "You should be prepared for anything. This isn't just about you." "Then let us face it together," she insisted, but her voice held an edge of apprehension as her father went to answer the door, anxiety twisted in Lily's gut. What could possibly come next? Did the impending revelation lie just behind that door, or was the reality far more complex than she could have predicted? Whatever awaited them could change everything. As the door creaked open, the world outside swirled with raindrops, leaving an ominous ambience that matched Lily's fraying nerves. She held her breath, her father's tension echoing through the quiet room. Could today really be the day they faced the truth? A shadowy figure appeared in the doorway, Evan, rain-soaked and breathless. Relief washed over her like sunlight breaking through clouds. "I was worried about you," he said, stepping inside, shaking off droplets like a dog. His presence anchored her, reminding her she was not alone in this storm. "Evan," her father greeted, eyes flickering between them with a mixture of apprehension and surprise. "What are you doing here?" "I needed to support Lily," Evan replied, his voice steady despite the tempest outside. "You both have been carrying a heavy weight, and it's time to lighten it. Together." Lily's heart swelled with gratitude. This was the moment, this was their collective confrontation of truth. "Dad," she urged, looking directly into his weary eyes, "we need to talk, all of us." Her father's shoulders slumped, as though 1,000 pounds had settled on them. He nodded. Without words, they settled into the living room, the tension like static electricity crackling in the air. "Let us start with the letters," Lily prompted, her voice strong but laced with vulnerability. "What did you hide from me? What do those letters really say?" Sitting stiffly, her father looked like he was grappling with memories that threatened to overwhelm him. "You were innocent," he finally began, his voice cracking. "I wanted to protect you. There are things I did, choices I made that could taint your memory of me." "Taint my memory?" Lily exclaimed. "You're my father. I need to understand why you felt you had to hide those parts of yourself. What could possibly be worth keeping from me?" "Your father had a past. He was ashamed of decisions that were born out of desperation and fear," Evan interjected gently. "Sometimes, parents think keeping their children in the dark is a way to love them, but it only builds walls." Lily's gaze lingered on her father, desperate for the answers. "It's time to tear down those walls," she urged, a fire igniting inside her. "Please, tell me." He took a deep breath, visibly wrestling with his emotions. I made mistakes, Lily. I was part of something that I thought would change lives, better lives at least. That's what I believed. But it spiraled out of control, and those decisions led to pain for others. Pain I never meant for you. Was it the man in the photograph? Lily pushed, the figure looming large in her mind. What was your involvement with him? Were you friends or allies? Did that relationship create the rift? Her father's eyes filled with a sorrowful resignation. It was more complicated. We were close once, but I made choices that put everything, including you, at risk. I had to walk away. I thought I buried that life, but it haunted me. That's why I kept it all hidden. For you to be happy. Lily felt the gravity of his words, mingling with her own pain. She leaned closer, fighting through the emotional turmoil. Happiness isn't built on lies, Dad. I've lived with shadows all my life. It's time the truth came to light. The rain raged outside, mirroring the storm of emotions wrapping around them. But within that chaos lay a spark of hope, igniting a path forward. Evan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. It's okay. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes it heals. With renewed anxiety but determined clarity, her father whispered, I'm so sorry. His expression softened as he faced her fully, years of regret etched in the lines of his face. There's more. A sharp ring reverberated through the quiet, cutting through their tension like a knife, a notification on Lily's phone. It was an email she hadn't checked before. Without thinking, she quickly grabbed it, heart racing. The subject line felt electric, your father's legacy. Her finger hesitated over the screen, and suddenly, everything became clear. This was a revelation, and she felt an urge to confront it out loud. This isn't just about the past, is it? This is your legacy, and I want to embrace it, not hide from it. Lily, her father murmured, a glimmer of hope in his eyes as he realized the shift. He was about to tell her everything, what had destroyed their family, and perhaps what they could build anew. This, right here, is our chance to heal. Evan filled the space, looking between them, buoying the moment. We can rewrite this narrative. With shaking hands, Lily opened the email, her heart racing as she read the words, feeling them seep into her very soul. We'll face this together, she declared, the realization igniting her spirit. They sat between the past and the future, woven together by the price of secrecy. As her father began to speak, Lily felt a clarity settle upon her, drawing them toward a future defined by understanding, hope, and courage. Today, we'll redefine what family means, she whispered, tears spilling from her eyes. But this time they were tears of liberation. Together they could confront the darkness, step into the light, and claim a destiny where love and truth collided. The diner buzzed, the rain fell, and for the first time, they felt the threads of erasure beginning to fray. Today would mark the beginning of something beautiful and profound, their story renewed and rewritten. Blossoming from a shared legacy of healing and strength, it was time to embrace their truths and let the shadows finally fade. Don't wait, not even one more second. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire your journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Your support matters. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this remarkable transformation. True fans know the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us create a community that thrives on love, truth, and togetherness.